Yeah, football. We'll talk of that later on. Before any of that, though, in Coronation Street this week, we saw a young couple, Betsy and Dylan. They're both 18 years old, talking about taking their relationship to the next level. But things take a very dark turn tonight when Betsy suffers a stroke caused by non-fatal strangulation, basically choking during sex.
Hey.
Can I see it?
Doc's in with us, or just stepped out for a
What
minute.
happened, Ryan?
I have no idea. I found her on the kitchen floor.
What?
I don't know. Tap was still running, so she must have collapsed.
She was
Fell, I
fine.
don't
This
know.
morning she was fine. She was laughing. She was laughing because I was kicking off about getting jam in the butter. She said she was going to go to the shop and get some more. I mean,
Okay,
she was fine.
Calm. I'll take you to her. Right, come on. It'll be all right. Come here.
It was a really tough watch, and it comes as sex education guidance is set to be updated to tackle the influence of the manosphere, with teens being taught that strangling or suffocating a partner during sex can, in some cases, become a criminal offence. And this is a far cry away from the chats that we maybe would have had at school, Janet. But I'm guessing it's just entirely necessary now because the landscape...
Absolutely.
has completely changed for our young people.
Absolutely, because kids, before they even get to secondary school, particularly boys, are seeing all sorts of stuff on their phones in which women are dominated, women are photographed against their will, there are fake images of women, and they've realised with that phone they've got the ability to manufacture images and also put women in terrible, distressing situations. So obviously, back in my day, which seems like the prehistoric era, you did have at secondary school a sex education lesson. But obviously before that, you start being really, really curious. And the one thing in my house where nobody talked to each other about any emotions whatsoever, my mother was never going to address the subject of sex. So what she did was buy a pamphlet and hide it in her knicker drawer, knowing that I would routinely go through her knicker drawer looking for stuff and seeing what kind of underwear she had. I was always really curious. So I found this pamphlet that explained what bits women had and what bits men had and what went where. I mean, it was all very basic.
How old were you then, Janet, roughly, do you think?
Probably about 11,
OK, so
12.
yeah, quite young.
Yeah. So I folded the pamphlet back up, slid it back in the drawer, and then I went into school next day and I said, I know how they do it. I know I'm the expert now, suddenly. I'm suddenly the know-all about sex. But from that minute on, I was curious, because obviously we didn't have phones, it wasn't talked about on television or radio or children's programmes in any way. And then I had to wait to learn about it at school, which was very much taught in terms of human biology and not taught in terms of relationships. We didn't have any of this relationship talking or talking about how men and women and girls and boys are supposed to relate and talk to each other and how you treat the opposite sex. That just simply didn't happen. And so for me personally, I was so curious about sex. The next thing I thought was, well, I can't wait to lose my virginity. I absolutely did not have the right knowledge or equipment to embark on that journey, but I did anyway. So now I just think, well, they certainly need updated lessons.
Yeah.
But I think it's tough for parents to have to broach the subject, but they can't just leave it to teachers.
I do think, you know, for me, sex wasn't something that was spoken about in the house. It was just, my mum was very much, when I got to, like, teenage age, it was luck it up, luck it up, luck it up. That's all she used to tell me.
Luck it up!
She's gathering my friends. Yeah, gathering my friends. We said, luck it up, luck it up, luck it up. And that's all you kind of knew. And it was more of the fear, isn't it? No sex before marriage and so on, and being as they would say, society, a good girl. But I think for us as parents, it's important for us to be having this conversation with our children. I think, one, we should probably know the emotional intelligence of our child more than anybody else and know whether they're at a stage or age where you can have that kind of conversation. I think the other thing is our children are seeing so much more than we could ever think of seeing when we was their age. They're seeing things that we might just be seeing now.
Being exposed to it when maybe they don't want it. It could be someone else's phone. It could be it's images that are being sent around.
Exactly.
Yeah, when
And
they
I
get
just-
to that class, like, they've probably seen it all already,
before.
and so much more than you could even teach in a school.
What's worse, they're probably going to see, I feel like a lot of children are seeing sex that is more like porn and feeling that that is the norm. So I think, yes, it's important for parents to have this conversation. I'm very frank with my kids. We haven't got time to tiptoes with the birds and the bees. We need to be able to, you know, really speak quite clearly about our body and what shouldn't be touched and what can be touched and how you're supposed to feel, and it's something to gauge in together. But another thing from my social work background, we do need our teachers to have that platform as well, because it's horrible to say, but there's a lot of children, not until they have that lesson, they realise they've already been engaged in sexual activity because they're dealing with sexual abuse. So if we don't have those safe spaces for children at school to hear that conversation through a teacher and question, oh, is that not supposed to happen to me? We're going to miss safeguarding a lot of children.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think, I mean, I think there's so much attention on, like, teen pregnancy and kind of, you know, underage sex and all these things. And we never really talk about, like, how we can pleasure ourselves. Like, we always kind of have to look at, like, how men can pleasure us and what's in it for them and how they're dominating. And I think this whole storyline on Corrie is really interesting because the whole manosphere kind of culture is about men dominating women and us not having that kind of autonomy over our body and us knowing how to have those experiences ourselves without a man. And I just think to know how to pleasure yourself, I mean, in a way, like, I just feel like my whole teenage years and my early 20s, you know, I put so much attention on trying to get that from a man, whereas really I should have just been focused on hobbies, earning my own money and figuring out how to use a vibrator properly. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's the reality. That would have kept me out of a lot of trouble. But instead, I'm looking at all these guys like they're going to fix this problem, they're going to, you know, because that's the culture.
Yeah, because
you don't need it.
Kelly, you're so right, because sex education was all about the women's role was to get pregnant, have a baby, or not get pregnant and have a baby.
Yeah, that's all it was all
not about what will give you a good time and what is your sexual, you know, what's best for you. It's all about how to navigate men and how to navigate getting pregnant or not getting pregnant.
The thing is, if that sexual liberation and education is taught, then I think that will make a lot more people, and especially young girls, be able to say, no, actually, I'm not ready.
I don't really need you,
I don't want to.
I don't need to be strangled in the bedroom.
Yeah, I don't.
No, we're fine with that.
It will give that bit more of, you know...
Yeah, and as you say, I think the teachers are important because even though, like, you're great, but a lot of parents do still feel awkward and children with their parents awkward talking about anything. So if there is that other
just got to throw it out there.
safe place to
my
do
kids
it.
are saying to me, when you're older, Mum, you'll be looking after the kids. I said, no, I'm going to be flying around the world with my husband having sex.
Yeah. Thanks, Mum. Moving on. What's for dinner? Yeah. Absolutely.